South MP Ross Thomson joined the process in the Thames today and was one of the signatories to the letter to the Prime Minister. He joins me now from Westminster. Well, Ross Thomson, are you saying that you will vote against the Brexit bill unless something is done about this?
Unless we are able to clearly deliver for our fishermen, absolutely. Voting against the bill is one of those options. There's a number of other options, such as tabling amendments to the fisheries bill. We have to look at all of these things, but not just me, but I think my Scottish Conservative colleagues as well have been fairly clear that this is a red line issue for us. The big prize from Brexit is that we can deliver for our fishing communities to rejuvenate them, and we must absolutely seize that opportunity.
Yes, but the irony of this is if you do end up voting against the Brexit bill, you could defeat it by allying yourself with Labour and the SNP and members of your own party who object to not staying in the customs union or the single market. So as a hard Brexiter yourself, you could be helping the other side to win.
Clean Brexit, no such thing as hard Brexit. But no, I take the point, but I'm confident that the Prime Minister and the government are actually going to deliver on this, because on the 1st of January 2021, we have that real opportunity to become an independent coastal state, taking back control over our waters, determining what vessels come into our water, setting our own quotas, determining our own fisheries policy. That is the prize. And given that it's not just me, but it is 12 other Scottish Conservative colleagues, as well as MPs who represent coastal communities right across the United Kingdom, I think the government is hearing us very loudly and very clearly, and that we expect them to deliver.
What do you expect them to deliver? Because after all, the British government has said right from the start it wants a transition deal, and the European Union, and indeed the British government, will say, well, obviously that meant staying in the common agricultural policy and the common fisheries policy. That's what a transition deal involves, just by definition. So what is it exactly you want?
Well, one, you're right, we do have this implementation period and an agreement, and actually many people thought that the Prime Minister wouldn't even achieve that. So to give her credit, she has. Where we are concerned is that on the fishing element, it's fallen far short of what we had hoped, and actually what many fishermen had expected, which is on the 29th of March next year, we are going to leave the European Union, come out of the common fisheries policy, retain and regain sovereignty over our waters, but literally within seconds we're going to hand that back, and there's naturally
so
a real
you don't want a transition
fishermen.
deal?
Well, we need a transition deal. It's part of the
process. Well, in that case,
of
you're going to be part
European
of the
Union.
CFP, aren't you?
Well, this is what we're saying. We would rather, and this is what this letter is about, that actually as part of a transition that we are not part of the common fisheries policy. Now, we've been making that argument, but what we have to do is look at
But hang on a second, there are two sides to this. The European Union would quite understandably in those circumstances say, look, we're quite happy to have a transition period where Britain stays in the EU, but if you're going to start picking and choosing what bits of the EU you want to be in during this transition period, frankly, go away.
Well, I think that's what we should have said to the EU over fishing. This is our natural resource. It is something which I don't think should be negotiable. We are clear that we have to take back control of our waters, determining our own fisheries policy here. That's the real prize. And there's a concern that during the transition period, the EU could implement policies on discards and landings, etc., which could be disadvantageous to our fishing communities. And naturally, there's an anxiety about that. Now, we have to work with the government to ensure that on the 1st of January 2021 we become an independent coastal state. And what does give me some reassurance is that there's only one party in the House of Commons at the moment which is committed to leaving the common fisheries policy, committed to being an independent coastal state, and that is the Conservatives.
What's the fudge in this? Because you know perfectly well the European Union isn't going to say, yes, you can have a transition period, but you, Britain, can choose which parts you choose to be in while we transition. What's the fudge on this? Is that you want, for example, Britain to continue to have a say for the year in which it will have no say in quotas?
Yeah. That's genuinely one of the concerns, is that during this period, we are going to no longer be at the negotiating table. Ministers will be consulted when it comes to things like quotas, and naturally fishermen have that anxiety that during that period decisions could be taken in that year that are disadvantageous to our fishing industry. So naturally there's a real concern about it.
Briefly, Ross Thomson, one last point. I mean, the bigger, longer term issue here is that has been talk already that even when after the transition period, there will have to be a deal to let EU fishing boats into British waters, because apart from anything else, we are so reliant on the European market to sell the fish that we catch. So there is going to have to be a deal after that, isn't there?
Well, actually, the Europeans are heavily reliant on the fish in our waters, particularly the Spanish. So we have to be absolutely clear that when we take back control of our waters, we will determine the vessels that enter our waters, and it'll be on our terms. Again, that's part of the great prizes of Brexit and why fishermen right across the country have voted to leave the European Union.
All right, Ross Thomson, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Great, thank you.